Stone Institute senior fellow, author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War, Gordon Chang. Gordon, good morning to you. I'll get to the spy flight in a second, but I really want to start with this news of President Biden landing in Ukraine this morning, the surprise visit. There was talk over the weekend from the administration, from officials, that they are now concerned that China is going to give support, and I'm going to give you the quote here, lethal aid. China's going to give lethal aid to Russia in its war on Ukraine. Can you fill in some blanks here, sir?
Well, China has been supplying lethal aid from the beginning of this war. The Ukrainians were operating Chinese drones. The Chinese had location data. They supplied that to the Russians, who then took out the Ukrainian drone operators. Also, we've had these reports that China is selling drones to the Wagner Group, who is using them in Ukraine. The administration doesn't want to acknowledge this because they don't want to impose costs on China. So China is going to continue to help Russia in this situation. We just issue hollow warnings. That doesn't do it.
So, Gordon, I think it's safe to say that we've had an anemic response as the U.S. government to the Chinese spy balloons. When it comes to China, you know, they took our measure when we went to Alaska and we met with the Chinese delegation, and they determined we were weak. So how do we reestablish deterrence? You have to impose costs when it comes to an adversary like this. Have we lost it all? We know that they're playing the long game. So what happens? What are our next steps to kind of get that deterrence back?
We have to start imposing those costs, and we have a menu of options. We can cut technical assistance agreements with China. We can reduce or sever trade. We can stop investment into China's military sector. There's all sorts of things the administration can do if it had the political will. And Cheryl, the important thing is what you said, reestablishing deterrence. That is one of the most dangerous things a country can do because China doesn't believe us right now. So we're going to have to make threats. We're going to have to carry through on those threats. The Chinese are going to react, and this is going to be a spiral downward. There is a momentum for war, and I actually think there will be a war in Asia unless something changes. We can stop China in Ukraine by stopping Russia, or we can end up in war in Asia. The choice is ours.
I was actually just about to ask you about that exact topic, Gordon, because you've got this delegation of U.S. lawmakers meeting with the head of Taiwan's legislature today. This is a 5-day trip to Taiwan. They're expected to meet with Taiwan's president. So, Gordon, your thoughts here. You know, China's making two potentially big moves here. Russia, aiding Russia, but also Taiwan.
Yes, and it's very good that Americans go to Taipei. I thought it was terrific that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi did that in August. I think it's terrific that Kevin McCarthy is going to go sometime this year in all probability. The President of the United States, yeah, it's good that he goes to Ukraine, but he also needs, more important, to go to Taipei to show China that we will defend it. If we do that, the Chinese are not going to attack Taipei. They are going to huff and they're going to puff, but they're not going to want to take on the United States.
China has to know that if they do give this aid to Russia, I'm pivoting back to Russia here, that is going to be a whole new conversation. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but a whole new conversation about how we and NATO, our allies in Europe, handle Russia. Does China really want to go down that road and start what could be a whole new type of war?
I actually think so, because Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, believes that the East is rising and the West is declining, and he can do whatever he wants. He's increasingly bold, as we saw from the spy balloon flight. We're in a world of hurt because, as you say, we have to reestablish deterrence, and that's going to be extremely dangerous. But absolutely, we have to do that.